So let me show you how I crop my shirts. These are a few shirts I don't wear as much anymore. The size is right, but as with most t-shirts, it's just too long, so I'm gonna crop it. I'm using this old shirt I've already cropped before as a guide. And this method preserves the old hem. So I'm just taking out the excess fabric and then reattaching the hem after. I prefer it this way because the old hem has stitching that I want to preserve, those zigzag stitching from the serger. Its weight pulls on the shirt in a different way, a better way. And it doesn't look as obvious it's been cropped or altered. And after pinning, I'm doing a quick running stitch to secure and prevent it from shifting when I try them on. This is not a necessary step. This is just an excuse to sew by hand. I love hand sewing. It's a great way to practice your fingers and you don't get poked by a pin when you're trying them on. And this is just one method to do it. There are so many other ways to crop shirts. This is just how I like to do it. I've experimented with different ways to shorten or crop a few things in my wardrobe, particularly my pants. This method I like best because it preserves that line at the bottom edge of the shirt or pants. And now time to press. Pressing all your sewing projects will yield better results, so I try not to skip this part. After pressing, I'm cutting out the excess fabric. I'm saving the old hem, leaving about an inch or two of extra fabric. That way, if I crop the shirts too short, I can always adjust. And now I'm reattaching the old hem back, again using a running stitch to secure it in place for the meantime. A running stitch is the first stitch I ever learned in my home economics class. Out comes the singer. For this project, I'm using a zigzag stitch at its widest setting to reattach the shirt and hem. T-shirts like these are usually knitted, so a zigzag stitch will keep the stretch of the fabric. And to finish, I'm doing a catch stitch on that excess fabric to keep it flat and prevent it from bunching at the edge. I find finishing by hand offers better results for my sewing projects. It's cleaner and not as obvious that they've been altered, and of course, more reason to sew by hand. If I can, I'll always sew by hand. But for this kind of project where there are multiple pieces involved, machines are a big help. The final results. Forgive me, I couldn't find a matching thread for this shirt, but it makes it easy to see the stitching and how it's been altered. On black shirts using black thread, it's not as obvious and almost invisible. To compare, this white shirt I'm wearing is the same size as those I've altered, and I haven't shortened it yet. it ends past my hips and has a tendency to bunch up at the waist when I sit down, which is why I prefer it shorter. And these are the shirts I've cropped. These ones are now the right size and length, ending just right where my hip bone is and closer to my waistline. They also hang better because I kept the old hem and the alterations aren't as obvious. And it's also possible to do this without a sewing machine, just hand sewing, like I did on the shirt that I used as guide. So running stitch to connect shirt and hem together and catch stitch to secure it in place. And you can make the catch stitch like an embellishment. Okay, that's it. Bye.